Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the Online Series 9 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out a super fun team featuring Lycanroc and Cobalion. This was built by a player called Aldris Jan, so thank you so much to him for the team. Check him out, linked in the description below, as well as a rental and a paste courtesy of him. Cobalion, as you may know, was one of my favorite Pokemon to use when it was first introduced to Sword and Shield, so I'm really excited to re-explore it. Quite frankly, I think it's very underplayed right now. I've basically not seen it at all, and it has really good, type coverage in general, and has, the luxury of being one of those Pokemon that people just don't prepare for very much. So, Steel types are obviously really strong in this format in general, and Cobalion's especially valuable because it's faster than a lot of the Steel types, and it gets access to Stone Edge, which turns into Max Rockfall. That's really valuable in dealing with a lot of the Fire-type Pokemon that you'll typically see, like Incineroar or like that Rotom-H, for example. So, you've obviously got both Whimsicott and Dragapult to enable the Cobalion, but some other fun components to this team, of course, are the Lycanroc and Tyranitar duo. This Lycanroc's really interesting as well, as it has Endeavor and Endure. Endeavor isn't a very common move in VGC, or just in this generation in general, kind of due to Dynamax, but it's still a strong option, especially in a Pokemon like Lycanroc that isn't going to max pretty much ever, right? I guess I shouldn't say never. There are certainly possibilities where it can, but I think with this team, it's often better to not max it, since Cobalion and Spectrier are such strong max options. So with the Endeavor and the Endure and the Focus Sash, you can pretty easily ensure that you get at least one Endeavor while you're at 1 HP off. And obviously that's really valuable, especially onto non-Dynamax Pokemon, right? Lycanroc can just bring them down to 1 HP and then either Tyranitar finishes them off, or you have the Sand up and then so the Sand just finishes them off. Choice Band Tyranitar is also a really fun set here, especially when you combine it with Cobalion Spectrier, right? So it has Assurance, which means that if Spectrier or Cobalion or really anything moves before Tyranitar and dishes out some damage, Tyranitar can often just finish things off with that Choice Band Assurance. That's especially valuable into Trick Room Pokemon, because Trick Room is a pretty hard counter to this team, with it being, fast-paced and hyper-offensive. And then finally, to round out the team, you've got classic offensive Spectrier with Taunt. So, you have multiple ways to deny Trick Room, whether it be to just kind of nuke the Trick Room user with, like, Helping Hand, Max Phantasm, with Whimsicott and Spectrier, or, maybe Lycanroc Tyranitar Leak, Rock Slide Assurance, for example. Plenty of different ways you could try to stop Trick Room. And then finally, classic support Dragapult. So, this team is really fun, and I'm excited to dive into it. It is just a very fast-paced hyper-offense team, so your games are going to end a little bit quicker than maybe some of the other teams that I featured on the channel in this season. But I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much as always for watching. If you do, please show your support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, I want to know what your favorite rock-type Pokemon is with us using Tyranitar and Lycanroc. My answer honestly has to just be Tyranitar. It was a staple in VGC for so long, especially 2012, 2013, and then even when it got its Mega form, although it was a little bit less popular in 2015. And I always just thought I had one of the coolest designs out of any Pokemon. And I, used to play the Pokemon TCG a lot, and I always thought like the Tyranitar cards specifically were like really, really cool as well. So I gotta go with Tyranitar. But anyway, let's get started with today's episode. Alright, first game of the day, and pretty cool rain team here. Kingdra, Raichu, Celesteela, Lillaboom, Rillaboom. So they don't have any ghost resists. I mean, Cobalion's assault vested here, so I actually think Cobalion's really solid. The problem with Cobalion is if they go Kingdra, right, you can pretty easily just knock out Dragapult. That's not the problem with Cobalion. The problem is Cobalion plus Dragapult. They don't have Intimidate here, which is valuable for us. I really want to bring Lycanroc here too if I can, because like the Endure and the Endeavor stuff is actually really strong, I think. So I'm thinking, okay, if we go Whimsicott Cobalion, it baits them with Kingdra, but then I don't even think Max Airstream KOs Whimsicott because we have Koba, so I could just beat up Max Rockfall turn 1. And then if they lead Raichu or Rillaboom, we could just Helping Hand. Okay, so I like Whimsicott Cobalion, Tyranitar Lycanroc in the back. Yeah, that works for me. The main thing here to watch out for, I think, is probably Celesteela, just because it's very defensive. And it obviously being a Steel type can resist a lot of the attacks. Cobalion, even at like +4, doesn't do that much to a Dynamax Celesteela, so I think that's probably the primary thing to watch out for. But if we are going up against Celesteela, what we can do is basically knock out all of its partners, ideally. It's just going to be Kingdra Politoed. Okay. I guess I'm just not 100% confident Whimsicott surviving with Kobaberry from a max move from the Kingdra, but like, I don't know. I'm like, I guess if I really wanted to play it safe, it'd be better to Tailwind, but I think I'm willing to just beat up here turn 1. They might go for a Helping Hand Max Geyser. I could definitely see that happening. But I'm down for beat up and then just Max Rockfall into Kingdra, I think. Yeah, that works for me. Politoed's not really a big threat to us at all. Yep, they're maxing Kingdra. What do we have in the back again? We have T-Tar and Lycanroc. Both of those are really good against Politoed. Despite us being, like, those Pokemon being weak to water, you can't really knock out T-Tar or Lycanroc assuming the sand is up. And we should be able to maintain weather control in this game, I think. So my only fear here is that, yeah, we don't survive a Max Airstream from King. I guess they could Max Hailstorm as well if they have that, which would be really interesting. But Max Hailstorm typically doesn't synergize super well with Kingdra because you're changing the weather, and Kingdra likes to outspeed things. Oh, although I guess they could Helping Hand Max Airstream the Whimsicott. But, you know, most Whimsicotts have Focus Sash. So then the other question is, does Politoed have enough speed investment where you can outspeed Whimsicott at +1 speed? That would be interesting as well. Okay, no Helping Hand. They just go for Max Geyser. This is actually maybe the best case outcome. With the Assault Vest, we should take this. Oh, we take that like a champ, yeah. So this is perfect, right? Because I end up just getting myself to +4 and I change the weather. Unless they like Rain Dance with Politoed. But even then, I could just Tailwind next turn. So, yeah, I think lead matchups are really important for this team. I practiced a bunch with it and, like, figured, like, I felt like I was struggling a little bit because I just kept, like, having suboptimal leads. If you can correctly, like, assess your opponent's leads, or their lead specifically, and then out-lead them, you'll have such an advantage with this team most of the time. And even, like, suboptimal leads, you can still claw out of, for sure, just because this team has so much pure offense on its side. But I found that in a lot of the games I was losing, I just like wasn't correctly assessing my opponent's leads, and if I had just done it better, like had correctly assessed it, I would have been in like a significantly better position where I could just steamroll and like get the ball rolling in the game after turn 1, basically. Okay, so Max Rockfall does around 50%, perfect. They just go for Muddy Water. That is a lot of damage. Crit on Cobalion, but that also makes me think it's Choice Specs like that. And they get an accuracy drop. Wow, okay, that's not great. It's a really bad crit, actually, unfortunately for us. Because without that crit, I think I could take another Muddy Water. That's got to be Specs Politoed. Got Lycanroc in the back. I'm definitely willing to just Tailwind here and go for a Rockfall, I think, onto the Politoed slot. They don't have a safe switch out here. I could definitely see Kingdra max guarding. Even if Kingdra attacks here, it's not the end of the world because I get Tailwind up anyway. And I think something like max guard Muddy Water or max guard switch Politoed out, both are viable options. Although for my opponent's position, they might be like, hey, I'm already behind, so I'm just going to attack with the Kingdra anyway, which would be a really great play on their end. So either way, though, I'm pretty sure the Politoed is specs based off how much it did. Okay, they're going to switch out. Yeah, that's fine. Into Rillaboom. Yep, fine with me. Does Grassy Terrain give us any added value? Not really. I would think Rockfall one-shots Rillaboom. I'm actually not 100% sure about that. Let's see if they protect the Kingdra. Perfect. Yeah. Fantastic. Like, now, even if we don't KO the Rillaboom, we're still in really good shape going into the next term. So, it was just gauging that I thought the Politoed was specs based on the damage output and then playing towards that. I don't know if this one-shots Rillaboom. Let's see. +4 attack. Not enough, unfortunately. That is, like, just the slight downside of Cobalion, but it's still fine, right? I feel like we're still in really phenomenal shape because, Ooh, Rillaboom hangs on with a Sliver. That's okay, though. What I can do this next turn is just go for a Helping Hand. Grassy Terrain does help us a little bit, by the way, just for that recovery. Yeah. Actually, I don't need a Helping Hand here, right? It's better to just click Dazzling Gleam. Because Dazzling Gleam finishes off Rillaboom, and I should knock out Kingdra with Cobalion from this range anyway. So, yeah, I'll just go Dazzling and Knuckle here onto the Kingdra. Yeah, I think, like, the first 2 turns basically played out as well as I could have, right? Like, with Cobalion, you basically just want to ensure that you get 3 max moves off with an attack boost, and we're going to be able to do that. Unless it's Choice Band Rillaboom, I could see maybe Grassy Glide one-shotting Cobalion from this range then. That could be a little bit scary. And they do correctly go for Glide onto Cobalion, but it's not enough. Cobalion hangs on with 7 HP. So the Grassy Terrain recovery actually was really helpful for us in the end. So we get another 2 KOs here. Cobalion ends up ending at +5 attack. And then we've still got T-Tar Lycanroc in the back. So this should be a wrap. I really don't think there's any way around it for my opponent. Their remaining Pokemon are going to be Regieleki, Raichu, Celesteela, or Celesteela next to the Politoed. Don't really mind any of those. Both of the electric types are obviously, you know, pretty weak to Tyranitar plus the Lycanroc. And like I said, I'm like 95% sure that Politoed has choice specs. Because even with the crit, like, you know, you shouldn't do that much damage, but because we have Assault Vest. But yeah, it just did a ton. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just underestimating Politoed's damage output right now, but I'm willing to guess that it's specs. I kind of expect Celesteela as the last one. So let's see. Yep, okay, great. So this is perfect because normally, you know, Celesteela late game looks pretty scary, but we have the T-Tar and the Lycanroc, and the Lycanroc can just Endeavor away. And we have Assurance as well, so we can just go like close combat from Lycanroc Assurance into Celesteela. So in this position, I think I'm always just going to target down the Politoed, mainly because, like I said, I'm pretty sure it is choiced. 2 turns of Tailwind left. There's no need to carelessly switch out Whimsicott here, right? Like, I'm willing to just sacrifice it. I'll just Helping Hand into Cobalion, go for a close combat. We get the KO into Politoed, and then T-Tar plus Lycanroc should close out this game. Now, the downside of this is that Politoed actually reveals that it has Protect. But yeah, it's Celesteela protecting. So this is where, like, information management's a really big deal in Pokemon, right? Like, I've been playing loosely targeting the Politoed slot these last couple of turns just because I was, like, fairly confident the Politoed never had Protect, right? As soon as I saw the Muddy Water damage output. So that's where, like, choice items can sometimes work against you, because this entire game I've basically been playing using Politoed's inability to protect to my advantage, right? That's why we got a free Max Rockfall off. That's why we got a free Close Combat off this last turn. So, yeah, now we can just Helping Hand and Close Combat the Celesteela. That probably is enough for a KO, right? We're at +5 attack. Yeah, Cobalion is, this is what I mean, right? I think with games with this team, they can end really quickly, either positively or negatively. Sometimes you steamroll really quickly, sometimes you don't get the leads right. Trick Room, for example, is a really big issue to go up against, and so one thing that I realized in a lot of my losses is that I was just making somewhat careless leads where I wasn't covering for their Trick Room setup hard enough. So if you see Trick Room potentially on your opponent's team with this team, immediately ask yourself, what is the best way they can set up Trick Room, right? Is it Fake Out plus a Trick Room user? Is it Redirection plus a Trick Room user? Then ask yourself, how do I counter it? Is it Spectrier? Is it Dragapult plus Cobalion? Bunch of different options. Dragapult Spectrier even works against, you know, the right leads. So, yeah. You know, that was definitely a perfect game, I would say, more or less, for Cobalion. So happy to show off, like, Cobalion can still be really strong in this format. Granted, I think we ran into a pretty good matchup. Like, you know, we had Lycanroc T-Tar to deal with the rain, and then we had Cobalion in general just matched up really well into my opponent's entire team comp in that one. So, not bad. Either way, let's get into the next one. Ooh, this is cool. It reminds me of, like, early VGC 20... Well, actually, it almost feels like a 2013 team. If you remove Incineroar, like Zapdos, Milotic, Amoonguss, T-Tar, Excadrill was definitely a viable core 2013. Okay. Dragapult is Will-O-Wisp here, which is really good. I really like Lycanroc on our side, too. And I think Cobalion's excellent here as well. It has to worry about Redirection and Intimidate from Incineroar, though. Honestly, I'm thinking just Dragapult Cobalion because I can Will-O-Wisp with this. No, I should probably go Whimsicott first so I can Tailwind. Okay, like, I'm thinking we go Whimsicott, Cobalion, Dragapult, and then Lycanroc. Like, Lycanroc's pretty sweet here, right? Because it takes advantage of my opponent's Sun. My opponent doesn't have great resist to it. Rock Slide hits Zapdos, Incineroar for super effective damage, and Close Combat hits Tyranitar plus Excadrill for super effective damage. And then the Endure is valuable against Amoonguss and Milotic as well. So I think Lycanroc's really good here. The only question is whether or not I really needed to bring 2 beat-up users, but I feel like Cobalion on paper matches up really well here, so the idea is to first set up Tailwind, and then if you KO Whimsicott, I get to replace it with Dragapult. Dragapult for Will-O-Wisp support here is also pretty valuable, since T-Tar and Excadrill are 2 of, like, the biggest threats on my opponent's team, in my opinion. So, let's see. I was hoping Lycanroc could come out in that last game. They're gonna go T-Tar Amoonguss. Okay. T-Tar Amoonguss. I feel like this is really good for us. Because you can't redirect the beat-up away. So it's a pretty free beat-up max Steel Spike turn 1. I guess the only fear here is if you're Sash Amoonguss, but Sash Amoonguss feels so unlikely when you're running a Tyranitar on the team comp. So, yeah, I'm just going to go for it. Beat-up, max, and Steel Spike. Your best switch into a max Steel Spike is Incineroar, but even then it would be you take a +3 max Steel Spike. Probably does around, you know, 30-40%. You take sand damage as well, and I get a defense boost. All of that's really valuable. So, I am pretty happy about this, unless it's Focus Sash Amoonguss. I don't know if +4 Steel Spike one-shots Amoonguss. It may have been better to max Airstream here, although Amoonguss could be Koba buried. Actually, yeah, because Amoonguss could be Koba'd, I think I'd rather just Steel Spike, but I know this is scary. If you end up putting Cobalion to sleep, it's a completely different game. Although, to be honest, even if they Spore us turn 1, like, they don't have much offense, so then the next 2 turns are also still a little bit awkward for them. So it's not even, like, the end of the world for us. Because then we could probably just set up Tailwind and then wait for Cobalion to wake up. And Cobalion, even non-Dynamax, once it just gets any attack boosts into my opponent's team, is very strong. Tyranitar protects, perfect. No reason to target T-Tark here. It's not really pressuring with damage, and we definitely don't want to activate a weakness policy to start off the game either. So, especially with Amoonguss being the clear threat with Spore, right? So if we knock out Amoonguss here, I think we really should just win the game from there, because then we just Tailwind, and my opponent cannot deal with Cobalion under Tailwind. Their best answer is Excadrill, but we will have a defense boost on Cobalion. We also outspeed the Excadrill, and we have Lycanroc for close combat support in the end game. So the main thing here is whether or not we can one-shot Amoonguss. And yeah, if it's Focus Sash, or if it's just, you know, max HP, max defense, maybe you can take this. +4 max Steel Spike. Cobalion, not exactly the strongest Pokemon. So Airstream would have been super effective damage, but it does run into the risk of a Kobe Berry. Don't really want to risk that. Wow, it is Sash Amoonguss. Okay. I didn't think that'd be the case, especially with Excadrill on the team as well, but this definitely makes the game a lot more interesting. Alright, nice play. If I knew it were Sash, what I could have done turn 1 was Dazzling Gleam max Airstream. That would have just KO'd Amoonguss, but don't really like that play too much. Plus, I don't know, I think, like, thinking it's not Sash Amoonguss because there's Tyranitar on the team. I mean, like, that's cool team construction, right? Because my opponent kind of baited me into thinking that, but I think it's, like, a reasonable assumption. Although I guess then I have to ask myself, like, was my opponent's best answer into this really what they led? Probably not. We're still not even in terrible shape, but this does really come down to how quickly Cobalion can wake up, right? I can start off the turn here with the Tailwind, which is really valuable considering we have Lycanroc and Dragapult in the back. So Tailwind's great this turn, and we're going to burn a turn of sleep immediately. So, like, if we wake up the next turn with Cobalion, I think we still are in a phenomenal position. 3 turns sleep is what I'm nervous about. I think with 1 or 2 turns of sleep, we're still honestly not in terrible shape. The issue is I need to get an amount of damage onto Excadrill, right? Dragapult and Lycanroc in the back. Lycanroc close combat will easily finish off the Tyranitar, but against Excadrill, I am going to need some damage onto it before I can, you know, close it out with Lycanroc. So, yeah, nicely done by my opponent turn 1. But the thing is, like, yeah, without knowing the item on Amoonguss, I never have a super safe play. Even if I go Dazzling Airstream, if they're Koba, we just end up getting hit by Spore anyway. So, it is what it is. But the nice thing here is if you KO Whimsicott, hey, I get a free switch into Lycanroc, which can just close combat Tyranitar. Looks like they're going to Max Quake into Cobalion. Yep. Which is huge here. With the defense boost, we can actually take another Max Quake as well. So, I can afford a 2-turn sleep. Oh, maybe not with Superpower. It's kind of close. I like that play, though. Smart on their end to basically, yeah, double up into that slot and not go for, like, a Rock Slide. Because the thing is, you really don't need to knock out Whimsicott in this position, right? Yeah. So we have Dragapult, we have Lycanroc in the back. +1 defense. I have Helping Hand. Don't really want to activate a weakness policy here. I guess I'm willing to switch Whimsicott into Dragapult this turn. Yep, and go for a Steel Spike here. If we wake up, I think this turn, we win the game. But even if not, I think it's still doable. My opponent just made a really nice play turn 1. Kind of baited me into thinking they weren't Sash Amoonguss. Okay, we take another turn of sleep, unfortunately. Maybe we can survive Quake plus another superpower, but it's looking unlikely. However, we have sold out 2 turns under Dynamax. We still have Tailwind. We have Will-O-Wisp. Ooh, that's actually enough to knock out Cobalion. Okay. Is that a crit? Yeah. Not the best fortune for us in this game, but I can't really complain. They probably superpowered into that slot as well, I would think. They kind of needed to. If you didn't superpower there, then Cobalion actually probably could have survived. I think it would have taken like a Rock Slide, but let's see. Yep, okay. So the crit definitely didn't matter there then. The double up should be enough to pick up the knockout. So now this is really interesting because I think Lycanroc Dragapult could actually definitely close out the game for us. This turn's almost interesting where it's like maybe I bait the Protect on Tyranitar. It just really comes down to what my opponent's last one is. Like I almost want to Will-O-Wisp into the Excadrill and then switch Lycanroc out into Whimsicott. Well, alternatively, you would just activate my Focus Sash here if you stayed in and max Steel Spiked, right? So I'm down to Will-O-Wisp, Excadrill, I think, and just close combat into Tyranitar. And if they don't protect Tyranitar, it's even better for us. Okay, they switch out. That's a nice play. Incineroar? Yeah. So Lycanroc as the endgame right now is very, very intriguing. My main fear, like I mentioned, is just getting enough damage output right now. I actually think if I were to replay this, it might have been better to just bring Whimsicott out first. Okay. So we get close combat off. Does work 50% even with Intimidate, which is really nice. Like, I'm definitely switching Lycanroc out this next turn, right? And then probably breaking Swipe. Willis connects, which is big, but could be Lumberry Exca here. Let's see. Yeah, wow, we ran into, like, the worst possible items, Sash Amoonguss and Lum Exca. Although the Lum doesn't really make that much of a difference this turn, I don't think. Because Steel Spike's still would bring us down to our Sash anyway, right? But I think now, this next turn, I have to switch the Lycanroc out into Whimsicott. The defense boosts in general also just aren't good for us, because it means... Well, I suppose I have Endeavor, right? So this is where Endeavor is actually really strong. I wonder if they predict, like, the Protect. It's the last turn of Tailwind, last turn of Sandstorm. Ah, this is so close. Like, if you don't anticipate Endeavor here, what I could do is... them being Lum is a big bummer, because if they weren't Lum, we could have gotten Excadrill burnt and at -1 attack, which means then I would think Whimsicott could survive. I'm going for Will-O-Wisp into Exca and switching Lycanroc out, but this is really scary. I want them to have the Sand up, right? Like, the thing is, we could have maybe just won the game here with Endeavor plus Breaking Swipe if they didn't go for Fake Out. Okay, good. They went for Fake Out. That's why I had to cover for that. Crits. Okay, Will-O-Wisp connects at least, so that's good. I would say this favors my opponent's... It's a really big deal whether or not they KO Whimsicott here. Oh, they don't target Whimsicott. That's a huge deal. Okay. That's a very big deal. Because that means I get another Tailwind up. And Lycanroc's looking pretty nice in this endgame. Free to Breaking Swipe as well, so... Yep. Actually, do I need a Tailwind? Dazzling Gleam only gives me a little bit of incremental damage anyway. I guess we outspeed at this point with everything though, right? Our Lycanroc was attacking under Sand. I mean, it should outspeed Excadrill, I think, but I'll just Tailwind to play it safe here. Because the only other option is Dazzling here, which I don't think gives us that much value. But this is like the downside of bringing Whimsicott and Dragapult, right? I had to fully rely on both Cobalion and Lycanroc for damage. Okay, Taunt. That's interesting. Taunt Iron Head. Okay. This is going to be scary, but I think it favors my opponent more just because Lycanroc can only pick up 1 KO at a time, which isn't good for us. So I'm just going to Breaking Swipe and Dazzling Gleam here. So we're slowly chipping away. I don't know the item on the Incineroar either. If it's not a berry, like AV, that'd actually be really good for us just because it doesn't get a burst of recovery. But, yeah. My opponent, like, found a pretty clever solution in dealing with Cobalion. I guess they could have gone Incineroar Amoonguss as well. With Incineroar, you pretty much always get the Spore off because you have Focus Sash. So I think that was definitely a viable lead from their end. My question is, how do I cover for Koba and Sash Amoonguss? Yeah, Spectre with Taunt, but then they led T-Tar, so I don't think that's it. They switch out. This could be bad because I'm Dazzling Gleaming here, so that would actually activate Weakness Policy, right? Yeah, but then I'd Breaking Swipe, brings you back down. You know, the problem though is that my Lycanroc doesn't have Protect, meaning now Fake Out will just KO it. So I think my opponent still wins this game unless they targeted Dragapult with an Iron Head here for some reason rather than Whimsicott. Okay. Are you Politoed? Yep. So, really the strongest items for my opponent in this game. Like, every item gave them so much value at the end of the day. They're going to Iron Head, yep, into Whimsicott. It's not enough for KO, but we feint from Sand, right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I can win now, because if you're my opponent, you just attack with both Pokemon this next turn. You know what's a win condition? Rock Slide double flinch? I don't feel like that's it. I could also hope for them to like mindlessly protect something for no reason. And also, yeah, Tailwind actually was necessary because it allowed Dragapult to outspeed Excadrill under Tailwind. I'm still taunted, right? Yeah. So I have to... Oh, I could beat up here as well, but I think it's Breaking Swipe. I think I have to hope for them to make a mistake and protect something for no reason. Okay. I'll target Excadrill. I guess actually you could protect T-Tar, sack Excadrill, bring in Incin. Yeah, that's what they're going for. Although this is slightly frustrating because if we had Protect, this actually would have been a win. But we don't. And they probably could deduce that since I switched out on the Fake Out turn. Yeah, long night we wasted turn. I mean, the main issue here is I didn't have enough damage output, right? Like, Lycanroc was... Both Lycanroc and Cobalion were excellent, but Cobalion getting put to sleep was obviously really bad. So, if we had a... the only question is whether or not Cobalion could have taken Max Quake plus Superpower on the second turn. It might have, honestly, especially with the attack drop on Tyranitar. And even if it just hangs on with 1 HP, that's like all the difference maker, right? Now if you're my opponent, you just Fake Out Lycanroc. Now the hope is what? For them to mess up and for some reason not click Fake Out. That's basically it. So I'll go for oh wait, could I have endured last turn, or can I even do it now? Is Endurance priority higher than Fake Out? I don't think so, right? Well, I guess I'll try it out. Oh wait, I can't Will-O-Wisp here yet. I still have to Breaking Swipe, but I think Fake Out's priority is higher, right? Oh, is it not? But that would be really interesting. Maybe they didn't even click Fake Out? Okay, they did. Ooh, hold on. Hold on. I actually didn't know that, so I learned something new today. Good damage with Breaking Swipe. If Incineroar's not buried, it just feints to another one. Oh, they go for Lash Out. Okay, I think it's contingent off a Rock Slide flinch, assuming this KO's Dragapult. Yeah. Oof. The win con is a Rock Slide flinch on T-Tar. That's it. Yeah. I shouldn't have Dazzling Gleam to activate that policy. This would have been a different game if I didn't activate the policy. Alright, we're gonna go for Rock Slide, hope for a flinch on T-Tar. That's it. Okay, Lycanroc, let's see how clutch you are. Yep, get the knockout onto Incineroar. Come on, Lycanroc, show us what you got. No flinch, unfortunately. Yeah, that was a really fun game, though, so I can't complain. I think, like, the team was incredible here. I just, like, didn't maximize usage out of it because I got spored. Like, this team is so much about momentum, and all the momentum was basically killed. Is there anything else I could have done? Yeah, they also had Taunt. Like, that was really bad for us. Because if they didn't have Taunt, we could have Will-O-Wisp the Tyranitar. But I think my main mistake in this game was activating the weakness policy on the T-Tar. Yeah. Llama on Excadrill, Swords Dance, Focus Sash, Amoonguss, Taunt, Goggles, Incin. I actually should have noticed it was Goggles, because, yeah, it wouldn't have been taking sand damage. Our team was really good here. Like, you could make an argument, because in the end, I lacked damage, right? So if I didn't bring Dragapult and I brought something like just Spectrier instead, maybe that would have been a little bit better for us. Or even my own Tyranitar, honestly. The main thing is if I am leading the way I do and have Dragapult in the back, I can't just lose my Pokemon. I can't let my Pokemon get spored on turn 1. So, yeah. But like I said, I unfortunately did not have a super safe play until Amoonguss. But credit to my opponent, right? Because that lead looked really bad for them, as in, like, you know, it feels like if turn 1 goes poorly for them, we can just snowball super, super quickly. But they found the perfect play, basically, to cover for it. Great Spore into the Cobalion slot. So, yeah. Alright, Accelgor plus the Palossand. I haven't seen that in a while. Okay. Lycanroc. I like Lycanroc in the late game here because they don't have great rock resists. Kind of want to just go T-Tar Lycanroc, honestly, because I could just Rock Slide into Assurance. They don't have any Ghost Resist, so I think Spectre is really strong here. T-Tar, Lycanroc, Spectrier. Do I bring Cobalion here? I like Spectrier a lot more. And I'll go Whimsicott for Tailwind and Helping Hand support. Actually, do I really need Tailwind? Spectrier outspeeds everything already. Helping Hand's nice, though. Helping Hand Max Phantasm should really just, like, demolish through. So, yeah. I wish Lycanroc, like, it was so good in that last matchup. Ugh. I just, like, didn't fully utilize it properly, so I'm sad about that. But my opponent played really nicely as well. I think my main mistake past turn 1 was going for Dazzling Gleam the turn my opponent switched out into T-Tar. That was bad. I also should have noticed they were goggles, right? Like, yeah, that should have just come out immediately. Maybe I should have just gone Whimsicott plus Spectre here, honestly, as the lead instead. Yeah, that honestly is probably stronger. But I'm also down to just Rock Slide Assurance here. Yeah, that works for me. Probably Palossand. I mean, the whole strat here is you use the Water Shuriken from Accelgor, activate Policy, get a bunch of boosts on the Palossand. But that's where Spectre in the back is handy for us, so I'm not too nervous about this. Oh, you know what's the problem, though? If they bring in Clefairy. Wait, that's a pretty big problem. If you just bring in Clef to replace the Accelgor, then you get redirection support. I don't have Taunt. Although, if you bring the... Yeah, if you bring Lycanroc down to its Sash, then I can just Endeavor the Clef, which would actually be such a fun answer. Yes, they are going to go for Water Shuriken. I think maybe it was just Whimsicott plus Spectre as a lead here instead. Okay. But it's still fine. I mean, I still have Spectre. I'm just like, I led this because like I also thought there was a decent chance they wouldn't just lead Palossand, mainly because Spectre counters it pretty hard. Okay, so get Rock Slide off. Yep, it's Focus Sash. The one thing to note is that we can't Endeavor the Palossand, right? So I do have to rely. Oh my gosh, is that a crit or does it still do that much? Well. I mean, the game's just over there, but I really wanted to see it play out without a crit. Like, I honestly thought we were still in pretty good shape, but obviously, like, we just win the game off that turn 1, so I feel bad about that, but, yeah. If I just led Whimsicott Spectre, I could have just gone, like, Helping Hand Phantasm turn 1, so that might have been the better lead, but quite frankly, I still felt pretty good about our position, because realistically, Palossand maybe has, like, 70% HP, even with the defense boosts, and it's not even that bad, right? Because then you either knock out Tyranitar, which means I get a free switch in into Whimsicott or Spectre, or you bring my Lycanroc down to Focus Sash. And if you bring Lycanroc down to Sash... Oh, and they didn't have Clefairy in the back, so I think Spectre would have pretty heavily dominated this endgame, even without the crit, but would have been fun to see it play out. So definitely a fortunate crit there. Interesting that Fini's faster than Rillaboom here, so that's going to change the terrains a little bit as well. Let's see. Got Endure. I use Assurance. I mean, the game's over, right? I'm just trying to figure out how we don't throw the game away, but I'm pretty sure Spectre should just win it for us anyway, so... I just really want to get it, Endeavor off, so I'll Endure here and go for Assurance into Rillaboom. But, yeah, obviously it's pretty tough to come back after turn 1 from that. Okay, so we get Lycanroc, Endure. Interestingly enough, no Fake Out or Grassy Glide. Okay. Pretty good damage from Assurance there. Fini goes for Calm Mind. I like that play a lot. Like, my opponent recognizes, hey, I'm already like behind in this game. If there's any way to come back, it's to potentially get a bunch of boosts off. So I think that's absolutely the correct line to take. And, oh, interesting. They're actually going to go for Knockoff onto T-Tar. Okay. Revealing my choice band. I'm kind of down to max Lycanroc at this point, honestly. We can switch T-Tar out. Okay, it is still possible for my opponent to win, actually, so I do want to be a little bit careful right now. Maybe maxing Lycanroc's a mistake, right? Because then you could just Grassy Glide, Muddy Water, but then Muddy Water wouldn't KO. No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm just gonna Rockfall here. And you're not choice banded, obviously, so Rockfall and Rock Slide here works. And gives us a chance to Dynamax Lycanroc, which is also pretty fun. So, like that. Yeah, and with that, like, the Well, actually, I guess the question is, does Max Rockfall KO the Rillaboom? I made this play thinking it was going to. Assurance did, what, just around 50% last turn. So, if not, though, I guess things could get really interesting. If you're my opponent, what do you do here? Grassy Glide into Lycanroc and Muddy Water. But the thing is, if you do that, I get a Rock Slide off as well. Maybe it would have been better to just click Assurance onto Rillaboom. Yeah, because I don't really need Rock Slide damage here. So, I think Assurance onto Rillaboom was the better play here, just because it means I don't have to risk missing a Rock Slide. But, okay, it's enough to knock out Rillaboom. That's what I thought. Good. Okay. Single target Rock Slide. Alright, Lycanroc gets to do a little bit more here. But, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, turn 1 didn't feel amazing, and we get the flinch there, so everything going right for us in this one. But I think, yeah, the problem is if turn 1 had played out, I didn't get the crit, and they had Clefairy in the back, this could have gotten really awkward really, really quickly for us. So I maybe should have prepared a little bit heavier against that specifically. Okay, either way, you just go for a Rockfall. Oh, this turns into Max Strike, actually. I didn't know that. You know, I'm kind of curious how much Knuckle into Assurance does here. Kind of want to just gauge that damage output. Ah, okay. It ends up being a win. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, turn 1, was Whimsicott Spectrier just objectively the best lead? Like, it's been so long since I've seen a Accelgor, I was just kind of nervous about it, because I was like, I don't really remember too much about this Pokemon, other than the fact that it's probably going to be sashed, and it's just going to go for a Water Shuriken on turn 1. Next match of the day. Really cool stuff here. Blastoise, Meowstic, Toxtricity, Cinderace, Rillaboom, and T-Tar. Okay. What do I want to do here? I think I want to go with Whimsicott plus... Well, actually, they have Fake Out. Meowstic's kind of a wild card, honestly, and they also have Cinderace, which is a little bit scary to go up against with Cobalion. Meowstic's scary just because it gets speed control, like, for example, gets access to Thunder Wave, and that makes things a little bit interesting. Lycanroc and T-Tar both feel good here. They don't have any rock resists, right? So I'm thinking it's just Whimsicott, Cobalion, T-Tar, Lycanroc, but, like, Spectrier offensively is also really good here. I'm down to go with Whimsicott, Cobalion. Because the thing is, even against Cinderace, like, it's not the worst matchup, and if they don't lead, like, Tailwind, we could... Or sorry, if they don't lead Fake Out, we could just Tailwind Whimsicott, and if we outspeed Cinderace, even a single Steel Spike makes us substantially bulkier. We could also just switch out Cobalion on turn 1, so I think there's plenty to do here. So let's see. Either way, I think, yeah, this is a pretty cool team. It's mainly the Meowstic I'm, scared about, and that's what they lead here. This isn't too bad, right? I mean, what are you going to do with Meowstic here? I think Fake Out makes the most sense. To which I get Helping Hand. Got T-Tar Lycanroc in the back. I could also just... If you're my opponent, you could maybe go Fake Out. Shell Smash would be really interesting. I'm down to Helping Hand, expecting Fake Out. Max. And Max Knuckle into Blastoise. That seems okay to me, mainly because if you're leading Blastoise, you're probably committing to it in the early game, and probably even maxing it. Even if you max it this turn, it's fine. Although I guess if you Hailstorm, I only get a single attack boost. Still don't really know Meowstic's moveset here either, but does get access to Fake Tears, I think, right? So that could be interesting. I just think Helping Hand Knuckle covers. It's not like the best play ever, but it covers every combination of attacks. And they're not maxing Blastoise, which makes me think they might go Fake Out Shell Smash. Oh, brother. Okay. Okay. That's tough. Eject button? Wow. Very cool. I certainly did not see that coming. Maybe I could have knuckled the Meowstic. I don't know. Oh, this is great for them. You bring out Cinderace. If you're Shell Smashing, then you just max Cinderace next turn. Well, then, yeah, this next turn is interesting because it's like, who do you actually max? I have to tail on the Whimsicott right now, that's for sure. Are you White Herb? Okay, yeah. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, definitely have to Tailwind here. Kind of down to Rockfall Cinderace. Because I could also see Blastoise maxing here and going for Cannonade into Cobalion, and then Cinderace just going for Pyro Ball. If I can force Cinderace to max, that's great, because I'll have set up Tailwind, and so T-Tar and Lycanroc can deal with it. And they're maxing Blastoise, yeah. Oh, nice ally switch on turn 1. I did not see that coming, but that's the upside of using a Pokemon like Meowstic, right? If I had gone beat up Knuckle, would this game have gone any differently? Nah. I'm gonna KO'd Meowstic, I suppose. But I think Fake Out from Meowstic is like the one move I typically would assume it has, right? Now hopefully we one-shot Cinderace, like, as long as it's not like Focus Sash or anything. This should get the knockout, which would be good. Unfortunately, Lycanroc's gonna be pretty subpar in this end game, mainly because of Cannonade damage adding up. And I think, I actually don't know this mechanic 100%, but I'm thinking with Endure, we still faint from Cannonade, right? So this should be going to Cobalion. What I'm hoping to play towards is just a T-Tar plus, man, that's so much damage. T-Tar plus, Lycanroc endgame. I think I had to target Cinderace there. If I had launched an attack into Blastoise, we wouldn't have really gotten anywhere. But, yep, this is the upside of Surprise Ally Switch. I didn't even know Meowstic really had access to it. It's been a while since, like, it's not crazy. I'm pretty sure we've used Meowstic with it at some point. Okay. Now I'm nervous about T-Wave or any other, like, what other support moves Meowstic has. Of course, he could also just come back in and click Ally Switch. They bring in Rillaboom, which is actually really interesting to me. I feel like Meowstic actually has more value just for the Ally Switch mind games, but I'll happily take Rillaboom coming out here. I mean, you would probably Fake Out, right? Because the thing is, what I want to do is beat up Cobalion and just get a big attack off. But, like, what I'm down to do here is just Helping Hand into Cobalion and then max Airstream into Rillaboom. It's going to be a really tight finish. I don't know how fast the Blastoise is relative to Tyranitar either. That's my other big question mark here in this game. Yeah. But I think, like, the style of team on my opponent's end is pretty interesting because both of these teams revolve around, like, really enabling one really powerful attacker typically. Okay, no Protect from Rillaboom, so that's good. Yep, they just go for Fake Out. Nice. So Airstream should snipe off Rillaboom now. Yep, another KO, which is nice. So, you know, Cobalion's done a pretty good job in this game, at least, I'd say, even though it didn't get, like, you know, multiple attack boosts off. Even just the turn 1 max Knuckle and then being able to pick up 2 one-hit KOs the last 2 turns. It's been nice, right? And that's the upside about Cobalion. Oh, this is interesting. They Hailstormed Whimsicott. Okay, that's highly beneficial for us. Because it means I get another turn to play with Cobalion. Okay, they have one more turn to max. Tailwind's running out. Pretty sure max Airstream will KO the Meowstic. Can't protect with either of these. I'd love to get a speed boost onto Tyranitar. Because then it ensures we outspeed Blastoise. The other thing is, like, do they Hailstorm to change the weather? That'd be pretty interesting. I don't know, just Lycanroc doesn't do anything if I bring it in this turn. And I think because it has Focus Sash, it gives us one big hit into Blastoise, even if Blastoise outspeeds us, like, even if they change the weather here. So yeah, I'm gonna go with this. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna max Airstream into Rock Slide because that covers for Ally Switch. Even if you Ally Switch, Rock Slide will still hit the right, it'll still hit Meowstic, right? Regardless of what slot you're in there. Oh wait, our max is over, never mind. That does not work. So now the question is whether or not they have Fake Out. We still have, I forgot about Tailwind actually, that's super good for us. Because we're guaranteed to hit the Meowstic, right? So I think just Rock Slide here and Close Combat, I'm fine with. I guess the question is whether or not Close Combat would KO Meowstic. It's pretty close. Like Helping Hand Knuckle did, you know, around 50%. And now we're at +1 attack with Close Combat. So I think it should be enough. I'd love to Assurance here, but I think we just Rock Slide to cover for Ally Switch. Yep, they go for Ally Switch. Okay, well, this is perfect, right? I get a +1 close combat into Blastoise, which is fantastic. Great damage there. As long as Rock Slide connects here onto the Meowstic, this should be game over. Yep, we're faster because of Tailwind. Perfect. Now Lycanroc can finish off the game. So, yeah. Ally Switch, really scary, but... and they do go for a Hailstorm, so that's a nice play to change the weather. I don't even know if this KOs. Okay, it does. I wonder if without the defense drop, though, it would have been enough. I'm not 100% sure on that. Okay. So that changes the weather, but now we get Lycanroc in. We still have 1 turn of Tailwind as well. And since they have Shell Smash... Oh, wait, they could still totally win this game if they have Protect. Because you just Protect into Water Spout. And I assume that would be enough. Is it running Protect? That's what it boils down to. Did I have any better play last turn? I could have Close Combat Assurance the same slot. I think that was the play, actually. Because that would have just knocked out Blastoise, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, it's a question of whether or not they have Protect here. Because if you have Protect, you can just Protect and then Water Spout. There's still 1 more turn of Cannonade, that's the main problem. Oh, but if you Protect, then I can Endure, right? I think maybe we're fine because of Endure anyway. I'm just going to Rock Slide in Close Combat here. Okay, they don't have Protect. Nice. So Lycanroc comes out, gets the Close Combat off, and finishes off Blastoise. Nice. I think the main upside here was that my opponent's partner Pokemon next to Blastoise was just never that useful, right? We were able to just one-shot the Cinderace, we were able to one-shot the Rillaboom, and so Cobalion was able to, you know, get the ball rolling pretty quickly despite the somewhat, I would say, subpar turn 1. The upside is with Assault Vest, right? We could take a +2 max Cannonade, and so we got maximum value out of our Dynamax with Cobalion. Sure, we didn't get the beat up off, but you don't necessarily need it. Cobalion, it does struggle if it's at neutral or -1 attack, and that's why I wanted to start off the game with the Max Knuckle as well, because then I figured it could cover for the options coming in the back. So, yeah, that was a really great game for Cobalion, honestly. And TTR Lycanroc were really fun. I'm really sad about the loss, because I feel like it was the best game possible for Lycanroc and Cobalion to really sweep through, but my opponent came up with a really good game plan in that one to deal with the Cobalion, so kudos to them. Either way, it's been a really fun set of games today. Really fun to just use Pokemon like Cobalion, Lycanroc a little bit more, and even Tyranitar, which isn't like as meta as it used to be. This Tyranitar set's obviously a little bit different from the ones that people are used to seeing as well. So thanks once again to Aldridge for the team. Check them out, linked in the description below. Thank you to you all as always for watching Road to Rank. If you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll catch you all next time. All right, peace.